today we're going to be looking at the hitch right here. A little bit of watermarks on here. This is a model 320. Hopefully you can see that there. Just out in the farmyard. And we're going to be looking at the different ways that you can use this hitch, how it mounts up to everything. The hitch is very similar to the other hitches that we send out. They may vary in how they apply. Like this one has a little bit of rotation give right there based on this bolt that holds it in, or that nut that holds it to the bolt there. You can also adjust this one by removing this bolt and sliding it. But we're not getting into that right now. We're getting into the drawbars and what kind of drawbar is easiest to work with. So we've got a couple options. You can use one of these right here. This is an actual drawbar on the back of a tractor. You can see this is our Kubota. And this is what it's actually designed for, is something where there's a thick drawbar that's actually attached back here to the frame and is designed for heavy-duty, aggressive use. If you do not have the option of using something like this, like maybe you have a UTV or an ATV and you have a hitch ball, then you can still pull the 320. It's just a little bit different how you got to get about it. So right here, this is actually my pickup truck. I'm going to show you how you can use this hitch. You can actually just order one of these. It's much easier. It would look like this. You can get them at Amazon. You can get them on your local farm supply store. There's so many different places that you can actually get just the hitch. So what we're going to be looking at, you've got a couple of different options. I'm going to pull my safety pin out and the actual pin that holds my hitch in. This is called a hitch receiver right here. It would take, this is a 2x2 hitch. Sometimes they're bigger or smaller depending on what kind of vehicle you're working with. This is a cart with a 4-inch dropper. If you flip it up like this, it would be a 2-inch raised position. If you had the ball sitting on top, it'd just reverse this. This is going to be your easiest option if you have a hitch receiver to work with and no drawbar like on the Kubota. Or if you can't make anything like we did. If you make something, just make sure it's really heavy duty. I can't stress that enough, especially if you've got more than a ton of sand behind you. So right here, I'm going to slip this back in. This is just another farm pin like you'd use to actually tow the implement. Hardened pins are recommended. I'm going to slip my safety pin on. Always have your safety pin in. Right here, you can actually remove your hitch ball. This is relatively easy. I'm going to stretch this big wrench out. I've got this adjusted to specifically 1.5 inches. You don't have to use it adjustable. Actually, it's preferred not to. But this is what I have as far as a big wrench. So I'm going to take this. Now, there should be a lock washer on the bottom, which makes it really hard to pull off. So I'm going to pull. You see the top of it is moving. Of course, I can't grab it by hand. So I'm going to grab another panel locks and open them up pretty much the whole way so I can try to get a hold of this. Let's see if I can fight myself. They are supposed to be tight so that the road's safe. As I do this, it's really not ideal to go on and off with these. Considering these hitches are maybe 20 bucks or whatever, I would just buy another hitch separately. However, my goal is to show you that you can do this and what it would look like. Drop this nut off the bottom. There's your lock washer. You can see as it tightens, that little edge right there actually is going to grab into the steel. So if you go on and off a lot, it's probably going to scrape that down a little bit. Again, just not ideal. Hopefully you can see that. You want one jaw on the bottom, one jaw on the top. This may be basic review for some of you, but I wouldn't make it if we didn't get the questions. You can see I can drop a pin. This is just a homemade pin right here with a loop on the top, so you can go in and out. Right in there. This is a pretty thick pin. I prefer to use one that's thinner, like this one. This is the same one that's in my truck right there. I'm going to slip that out. Notice the thickness difference. It's not very noticeable. This is still hardened. This one actually may not be hardened just because it's homemade. Again, these are used for jockeying around, different than actual use. I'm going to drop this one in. Now see how there's that play in there? It's going to rattle and carry on more. However, you have more flex when you're going on side hills, up and down hills, whatever it might be, between the actual hitch. So it's a little less stressful. It is going to carry on more. I recommend just finding what best suits your needs. It may be this setup, it may be a different setup, but make sure that you have what you need and what works for you. And then always remember your safety pin. You may not want to use one of these, but you may use a hairpin or a cotter pin or all kinds of different pins that could go in the bottom there, but make sure that this doesn't come out. That's really all there is to it. If this was not sitting level, which it really is, as it sits, let me get out of the way. You can see how nice and level that sits. However, I could pop this, pop that. I'm gonna push this back and not crush myself. And I'm gonna show you what you could do if it was not level. You just flip this upside down. Typically these have less of a structural weight rating when they're flipped upside down. However, most of the time you're still perfectly safe with the implements that we're using here. We're not using like road certified trailers. We're probably not doing 5,000 pounds or more, at least I hope not. Drop the pin in, you can see now this is unlevel just for this setup because of the height of my truck. However, maybe if you were using a tractor or a UTV where it's ideal, you would want it to be set up that way. So I'm gonna pull this out. Always remember, you would have had to have your safety pin in there. I'm gonna push this back so that it's down and out of the way. And I'm gonna reassemble this so that it's good to go. So that's just how a pin hitch works. We get asked this all the time, so I wanted to make a video just explaining how this receiver would actually work. Again, it's like a $20 option. I would just go buy when they make different heights and lengths. Find what's either cheap and works or the best setup for your situation. Thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful.